Twin Flame Tarot, and I'm here to do the Twin Flame Twin Astrology forecast for the week ahead. We've got some big energies coming in, and I do apologize for not getting any content out there over the last few days, but I was in a portal of energies, and it kind of felt almost like a psychic attack, and so I kind of went down into the root of any underlying self-worth issues is kind of what it felt like. And so there's this new opening is what it felt like, an opening, a portal opening up, the spiritual world. I do feel a major third eye purging is kind of what it felt like. I've had such intense third eye pressure throughout the weekend. It's been a roller coaster of emotions, to say the least. And so we've got the Plutonian influences coming forward. We have this very powerful full moon in Libra this week, and it is going to have the Sun conjunct Chiron during this full moon. And so there's this pressure, especially when it comes to self-worth issues, because Aries is all about the self, right? And so I feel we're in store for a week of a lot of deep cellular healing is what it felt like. And so many of us have our counterpart, the counterpart's higher self is kind of guiding us throughout this underworld journey. And we do eventually reach each other in this state through unconditional love. And so we're entering into a very transformative period, collectively speaking. And so we are officially in the new age of Aquarius is what it feels like, astrologically speaking. And so we had the Aries new moon a couple of weeks ago, or at the beginning of last week, so to speak. And then we're going to have another new moon in Aries coming up here. I believe it's April the 20th. And so Pluto is bringing these intense cosmic forces to the forefront so we can shift out of these karmic collective experiences and we can get fully rooted in this higher twin flame union energy. And so there's a lot going on with the third eye is what I'm feeling. You've either felt it, you've noticed it, or you've had a third eye activation recently. I've been feeling all of this pressure around my third eye, around my brow. I can take a Tylenol and that pressure, that pain is not going away. And so I feel a huge collective detox of any lies or falsehoods that we've taken on as our own. And so we're here to be these spiritual beings of light. We hold an infinite, unlimited amount of light. And the more we purge these lower lies or energies or emotions, the more light we can take in the third eye in order to actually manifest our dreams in the physical reality. And so anything that tells you that you're not capable of manifesting that into your reality is in fact a lie. And so Pluto is pushing this energy of detoxification, and we're going to be going through this throughout the coming years, and I don't feel that this is going to reach full completion until about the year 2027 is what came through for me. And so there's a huge release right now of these old outworn affiliations and connections, outworn friendships, relationships. Pluto's coming to rid us of these lower vibration affiliations this week, or anything that's kind of held us back from fully stepping into our true soul mission and our true spiritual strength and power. And so it's not easy. Detoxing is not easy. It's not easy to let go of somebody that's been limiting you or that's been toxic to you. It's very difficult to release these trauma bonds because of the deep past life soul tie that we share. But Pluto's going to break us free from this week is what I feel like with the Libra full moon. And it's not going to be easy because it's going to trigger our deepest, darkest fears, our deepest, darkest wounds, and they're all going to be triggered to the surface when it comes to recognizing that seed point origin of these patterns, which we often find in a childhood traumatic event of some sort. And so if you've had a history of being betrayed by friendships, Pluto's going to show you where this stems from in childhood and how this affects the twin flame connection and how we can clear it for that karmic reset, for that rebalancing. And so right now, we're all getting a little bit knocked off our course, is what it feels like, getting knocked down a little bit, especially if you still have a lot of outsider attachments and cords. And this could relate to exes, karmic partners, friends, and even family members, unfortunately. And so the reason twins come into this physical reality is to go through this union journey, and it does bring us through a very spiritual process of purification, and it does bring us back to a state of love, which is the energy that we came from. We are love at the core. And so any outsider attachments, family, friends, workmates that you've maybe been dealing with, that keep you looped in a low soul frequency that keeps creating more distortions, Pluto's coming in to clear those soul contracts out. So if you are still dealing with an attachment to an ex, it's crucial that you release that person in order to prepare to step into this union energy. And so outsider attachments will prolong the union process. I know my counterpart is still in an outsider karmic attachment, and it has indeed prolonged the separation and the running and the blocking of this union. And so I do feel a breaking apart in those outsider karmic connections to embrace this new twin flame completion, is what it feels like. And so I do feel a level of completion when it comes to these experiences. I feel a mass starseed activation going on with the collective right now. And with all activations does come a purging. And so for me, I've been having a whack ton of astral experiences with my counterpart and with a couple of other divine feminines. And so I kind of had a falling out with my very best friend. I actually had a falling out with her, kind of, sort of, I guess. And a few days ago, it was like a falling out. We both kind of got triggered, and it was like a huge falling out. And this is a divine feminine that has traveled this journey with me for the entire process that I've been through. We both went into separation at the same time on February 14th, 2019. We both went into separation with our counterpart the exact same day. We both went through the dark night of the soul, a same 9-month period, and we met both at the same time coming out of that 9-month dark night of the soul. And so I'm not sure why we had that falling apart, but I do feel it was to serve as a catalyst for her and I to push us both, I feel, to fully open up to the spiritual aspects of this romance that we share. And so we can harness and ground in these blissful, loving experiences with our twin soul, but we do have to be willing to give it to God, right? And so we do have to be willing to fully open up that third eye to the supernatural that so many of us fear. And so there's going to be a lot of astral travel, a lot of supernatural experiences coming forward as we release any residual toxins, I feel, within the lower chakra body, the lower heart, in order to fully activate the third eye chakra. And I know how traumatizing the activation of the third eye chakra can be. And so we're in this deep underworld shift, is what it feels like. We're leveling out the ego. Okay, we have Mercury square Pluto, which is actually today, but this square aspect takes place after Mercury enters Taurus. And so we're at like the 29-degree mark right now with Mercury in Aries, and I'm kind of looking forward to Mercury going into Taurus, because it's been this acceleration while it's been in Aries for myself. And so the energy I feel right now is a little bit impatient. There's going to be a lot of 3D challenges, I feel, over the coming days to level the ego of the masculine in order to bring forward this cosmic wisdom. And so I feel there's a lot being illuminated. The veil has been kind of ripped off in order for the masculine to see what he was previously not aware of. And so things are likely starting to fall into place for you, Divine Feminine, as we come into this deeper level of understanding, as we kind of cleared another layer of limiting beliefs to bring in and reach this higher vibration. And so things should be moving forward quickly, but if there are delays, if things feel slow and challenged, it's likely because of the masculine leveling out the ego. And so there's great power and strength with going within, right? And so there's a lot of negative collective soul lessons coming up for the larger whole of the mission. And so going within and becoming in a state of alignment and in within your inner world, in a state of harmony, that will lead us to this ideal outer reality. And so we can't rush it, we can't push it, and no matter how tempting it is to push against the grain, we have to kind of allow as well. And so Mars is the energy of taking action. So I feel, yes, the masculine has been told to take action on the spiritual guidance that he's received to go after his desires. We have Mars sextile North Node. We have Mars aspecting Mercury. And so it's a release of these old karmic patterns of power and struggle, opposition, fighting, conflict, and desperation. Mars is going to have a really difficult time in Cancer because it is such a feminine energy. It's a watery energy. And so I do feel a lot of distortion is kind of coming up. And by the end of the week, we're going to be in this Mercury retrograde pre-shadow period, because we're going to have Mercury going retrograde in Taurus. Taurus is about the tangible, the physical, taking action, right? And so there's this heightened mercurial energy highlighting the shadow energy, right? And so we're going to undergo this period of deepening our understanding of self. I feel the feminine is becoming very much mentally aligned. I feel this transition is going to take place over the next couple of months. And we might not see movement until about the end of May. I know on the weekend it felt like I completely stalled out to a halt, to a blockage of some sort. And whenever I'm in those very intense energy portals, I don't channel for anybody because of the fact that I'm sifting through my own distortions as well. And so anybody that is a channeler that comes from a place of integrity, they're not going to keep pushing the limits just to be productive. And so I never channel when I'm sifting through distorted perceptions. And so that's key this week. Self-perception is going to be key. With the Sun conjunct Chiron, the Sun in Aries, Chiron in Aries, there's a lot of healing around our self-identity this week. And so it doesn't matter what your Chiron is. Mine is in Taurus. But we all have a self-identity wound, right? No matter what Chiron placement you have in your chart. If you do have Chiron in Aries, I do feel this is a week of self-actualization for a lot of you. How we see ourselves is crucial, right? That self-talk inside of our conscious mind, our subconscious, this is crucial. This will dictate how we approach life, how all of our relationship cycles are going to pan out, and ultimately what we experience. If we have a negative self-perception, and if we approach life from that negative perception, then it's going to bring forward all of these triggering relationships, right? And Chiron is always there to trigger these wounds to come up. Because we can't ascend out of the old timelines without going into this early life trauma and understanding all of these feelings of rejection or feeling unloved or not good enough or being criticized. And so I do feel these energies are going to be triggered this week. So it's like the ghosts of the past. And what I want to say is the ghosts of exes past. And so there's going to be a lot of phantom memories of old negative timelines coming up from the ghosts of lovers past. And this is serving as a mirror. And the journey is a mirror. Sorry, I seen a high school kid walking by. And the journey is a mirror. And let's face it, when somebody holds that mirror up to you, which is the reflection of the light to illuminate the depthness of the darkness, it's very unpleasant. Who wants to look at their deepest, darkest aspects of self? Nobody wants to go into the shadows. Well, I do. I don't mind going into the dark. I like the dark. And so nobody likes this unpleasant mirroring energy going on. And so this is a cosmic period of moving forward more free, more open. And so you're being asked to clear whatever is coming up in this energy. And with Jupiter now joining Chiron and the Sun, I do feel a week of blessings. And some of these blessings come in disguise as a major tower moment. And sometimes we have to go through a breakup for the breakthrough in order to release the past wounding. So I think get ready to expect a week of problems, disappointments, letdowns, in order to release any unconscious self-fulfilling prophecies this week. And so look at your own twin flame connection. Look at all of the problems you've experienced in that connection and how can you link it back to a childhood pattern. Because we are being asked to deal with these childhood patterns once and for all. And unfortunately, with that does come a lot of struggle and negativity. And so we are growing through these challenges in order to get that blank slate canvas. And let's face it, we were all born innocent. We were all born clean. We were all born with a blank slate. We grew up with certain familial beliefs instilled, absorbed in our conscious mind as we grew up. And these are our parents' beliefs that were given to us, which were given to them by their parents and so forth and so on. And so if we're to release these blocks that stem from our ancestral lineage, our ancestral karma, we have to go into these unconscious patterns and we have to find our personal, strong spiritual belief below all of the program distortion. And then we got to reinforce this energetically, right? And so as we release all of the negative energy, we kind of got to zap it at the root. And last week I channeled the energy of the lower heart and everything dropped out of the root. And so I do feel a huge release when it comes to survival mentality, which is the root, fear, right? And so all of this energy is stirring the masculine twin up. I feel stirring that shit pot is what it feels like this week. And so with Mercury and the North Node both sextile Mars, there's a lot going on in the masculine twin's life this week. I feel Pluto is saying, hey, you got to master patience like the feminine did, no matter how challenging this feels. With Mercury entering into the shadow zone, there's a lot of things about the masculine twin that are coming up that aren't clear, that haven't been fully revealed, that will be over the coming months. And so there's a lot of internal thoughts and emotions that the masculine are having, or feeling, or processing, or questioning. Disillusionment, especially regarding their destiny with you and their life path and their greater theme of spiritual existence. And so this full moon in Libra is the final shebang, is what I'm feeling for the feminine. And so I feel a lot of spiritual ancestral energies in and around the collective reaching out to us. I know spirit, the ancestors were strong around the home yesterday for me in the bedroom last night. And so I feel Wednesday's Libra full moon is putting the pressure on the masculine to step into this future timeline with the feminine. And because this full moon is happening opposite the sun in Aries, this is about self versus other, the collective versus the individual. And so many people are going to be strongly expressing themselves this week with the vengeance. And I do feel get ready to reconnect with your counterparts higher self as they go through this delusional release is what it feels like. And so we are one soul divided. We are one soul divided, and Spirit wants us to remember the twin flame journey ultimately is about returning to self, your most authentic self as an individual. And when you resonate at that blueprint frequency, the clarion call will be sent out to the counterpart to come back home. And so I feel the feminine is like this magnet at this time. She's attracting so much into her life with ease, and the masculine is feeling very out of alignment, and he's being shown just how much damage he caused by repelling the divine feminine. And so, you know, so many of us, we sacrifice our truth and we abandon our truth to live out the status quo of what our family expects of us, or what our group of friends, or for fear of ridicule or humiliation or what people are going to say, right? And so we abandon our own personal heaven on earth, our own personal bliss, by refusing the clarion call. And so I feel we're in a crucial week of realignment for the feminine, of that soul frequency resonance of this bondage that we share. And so I know it does feel like these connections are very much out of reach. I've not had any communication in years other than the telepathic connection. And so I feel the masculine is being called to step up as an individual and to find his way back to his own authentic truth, which he has avoided and denied. And so the universe is kind of calling out, we can't go into these unions until the masculine deals with his own inner self first. And I feel the feminine really needs to fully embrace herself in love in order to align with the outer reality as well. And so the twin flames share the deepest of spiritual bonds. And we are both here to stand strong in our truth together. We are here to become aligned together and to teach others how to deepen this bond of love of self. And so there's a lot of inner work coming up this week when it comes to these old past hurts, unraveling, detangling all of these energies. So you might be feeling like you're pulled in all different directions. I was shown the octopus energy again, which is the energy of the devil and all of these people grasping and courting, right? And so if you're feeling all of those energies like a tentacle octopus around you, you're being asked to feel the fear and step into your authenticity anyway, okay? And so if you need some help with this, I am going to keep my sale on all of my sessions, and I'm ready and waiting to assist you to have a deeper look and to, transmit these higher etheric codes to you for your own activation. So when you're ready to take that step forward, I will absolutely take that journey with you when you're ready, because I do feel a week of liberation, Libra liberation. And so although we're going to be facing some major challenges when it comes to these past toxins within our cellular DNA structure, we gotta come out of that comfort zone. We gotta be pushed to a state of very uncomfortable release if this old baggage is to be cleared once and for all. And so deep level healing can't really happen until things get shaken to the core. It's like shaking it up like a snow globe, right? And so I do feel this Libra full moon is when the divine feminine will fully reach true balance and true harmony. And then everything is going to take like a really quick turn. So I want to share with you the download that I got after my major purge. And so the number 9 kept showing up. Number 9 is high spiritual authority, right? Number 9 is like the Mother Teresa energy of numerology. And it is the highest spiritual number before we get into the double digits. And so we got to kind of tame the power of the lower ego in order to reach a state of fulfillment, right? And so logically, we cannot go through the journey logically. It's not a logical journey. It is a feeling journey. And so when we are focused so much on the logical aspects, that really can be our detriment, right? And so I was working with Prometheus in the energies, and so we need to come from a spiritual place of balance, responsibility, sensibility. We're here to solve all of these collective problems. And so all of this avoidance on the masculine's part to create these new life forms is creating an overwhelming sense of frustration, because the feminine's in her power. She's focused on creating these new life forms, and I feel the masculine sitting in a lot of regret after the hasty decision he made to kick the feminine to the curb, and now all he wants to do is kick in the door to come back because he feels like he's lost her. And so he's kind of been sitting in this collaboration in the karmic cycle of misery loves company. And so I feel this overwhelming need for expansion and to correct the past errors in his judgment, when it comes to this missed opportunity. I do feel he's really been in a state of depression now that he's come to realize what he's missed out on in this collaboration with the Divine Feminine. And I do feel there's a lot of temptation around the masculine, and it's like the Ten of Swords, the straw that breaks the camel's back. All of these overlooked red flags have now led the masculine to this predetermined place of ultimate failure, is kind of what it feels like. And so these cosmic forces are bringing forward all of these impediments, all of this failure because of this resistance. And so this persistent cosmic force is coming in for the masculine, saying it's time to step up your vitality, which I feel the karmic has sapped dry. And the karmic is in this energy of turning every little argument into a great big mountain. And I also feel this energy of focused obsession on the Divine Feminine. And so dedication was a big word that came through. All of these pressures, regardless of all of the pressures and the stress surrounding the masculine, he's going to have to take right action and find his discipline to lead with benevolency, okay? And so I feel an inevitable moment of self-actualization, okay? We're almost in the post-shadow, and we're around in the 29th degree of Aries, so I'm having a hard time talking. But anyway, and so this persistent urge to spiritually bypass or skip these essential steps or lessons on the journey is showing the masculine everything that he's ignored, right? And so this is where faith comes in. To have trust, to have faith that the masculine will adhere to this clearing call, right? That this process will lead us to fulfillment. And that's where the feminine has mastered faith. And so the feminine has been loyal to the letter of the cosmic law, is what I want to say. And the feminine has brought all kinds of value to the collective. And just like the mystery of God, the feminine is a mystery to the masculine, is what I'm feeling. And so there's a lot of perceived illogical energies coming forward, being processed when it comes to where the masculines lacked power, which has led to many spirals of doubt. And I do feel this Libra full moon exalts the Divine Feminine, as is what I feel. And so no single step holds value until you take that first step towards the journey. And the journey is never over. It's never over, is the way I feel it. It's a continuous, like, space-time continuum from Mr. Peabody and Sherman movie. It's a continuous process of concentrating these energies and getting rooted in joy. And so it's like this funnel, like a tornado energy is what I was shown, this funnel of enormous concentrated power to figure out what is meaningful and worthwhile in our lives moving forward. And so the frequencies coming in are asking us to focus our energy, to pay attention to the details. That's the Virgo energy. And I feel really focusing on clearing the sacral chakra. That's been coming up because for a lot of us hold the emotional baggage in the sacral chakra. And so I kind of feel the masculine's lacked determination. He's lacked that connection to source, which is a major frustration for him. And so when he goes through this clearing of his auric field, I do feel this will allow him to facilitate more clear and focused energy, both physically and mental. And so I think a great big tower is coming in because we're here to master our skills for living, and we're here to make our life art, right? And so there's a lot of harmonic channeling of energy coming in that will enrich the Divine's feminine life, which is creating delusion and cynicism in the masculine's world. The feminine is this ultimate expression of a daydreamer, right? She has a talent through daydreaming, and that's me with my Pisces rising, right? And we're here to publicly communicate all of these unrealized dreams, to express this fantasy and to ground it. And so I feel this energy, this sharp bursting of a bubble in the masculine's world. He's been this compulsive cynic. He's been very he's been very cynical towards this connection. And he's lacked objectivity, is what I'm feeling. And the feminine's really mastered self-reliancy, is kind of what I'm feeling. I feel the feminine is in this place of self-generating, self-sustaining independence. And so this is the right time for the deflation of the ego that the masculine has avoided. And so it's like the masculine's like this little child, maybe who was a little overconfident and now has become very codependent, is what it feels like. And so we got to regenerate that, right? And so this unnecessary overly reliance on another. We don't need to have anything confirmed outside of us. To be a real leader is to honor your own creative recognition. To be a true leader is to come forward as that sincere, genuine support for others, right? And that's what the feminine holds, is this enthusiasm for her service mission to the higher goals for the collective, to support the talents of others and awakening the talents of others. And so this refusal to support or recognize the divine feminine, I feel, it's like the masculine's like the Grinch that stole Christmas, right? And so recognition is key. This refusal to share in the joy with the feminine can no longer be avoided, right? This power to avoid their sole purpose. I just feel like the masculine's really been a Scrooge in this entire process. And it's this energy of the masculine. Well, I will be happy when. I'll be happy when I buy a house. I'll be happy when I buy a car. And no, all of that falls into place when you fall into alignment. It's not like, oh, let's chase the next best thing. That just spirals another layer of lacking self-confidence, because if you hold value in the next best thing, or when I have this or when I have that, are you ever really going to attain it? Like, if you wait till you have this or have that to take action, what if everything just passes you by and you never get that, and then you never get where you want to go? And so all we really have is the now moment, really. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. We could all die tonight. I'm not saying that we are. I'm not saying that we are. But like, I'm not guaranteed to wake up tomorrow. And so all we really have is today. And so the masculine was gullible when it comes to perfecting something. It's like they wanted perfection, and that's that Virgo energy, perfection. And so when we aim for perfection, Neptune's going to come in and destroy that. So I feel a lot of Neptunian energy is destroying the old in order for the masculine to seek these new life forms. And Jupiter's energy is painfully expanding these new social structures. And so all of these prejudices have to kind of come up for clearing in the energies this week. And so I do feel we're entering this gateway of unlimited abundance, 55, master number 55. So 55 breaks down to 10, which also breaks down to 1, pioneer leadership. And so the quality of spirit is all around us, and the quality of spirit is in the emotional now. Abundance is a question of spirit, right? At any given point, abundance is the cup of life that exists in all of us, that holy grail cup of life. And the feminine holds that holy grail cup. Spirit is not matter, right? Spirit is energy. And so Godhead Kali is upheaving the collective from now until 2027, awakening the sleeping phoenix, the sleeping masculines. And so this is about cooperation. This is about cooperation with these powerful forces. This is about taking high principled actions to guarantee the continued support of humanity. And so spirit is always there cooperating with us, with these forces, but we have to concentrate on building these harmonic relationships, all while dealing with the negative powerful forces. And we need both for this continuity of the journey, right? For this advancement. And so I do feel right now a lot of the masculines are distrusting the feminine. I feel a lot of the masculine's abundance has been hampered by the slander and the gossip that they smeared about the feminine. And so a lot of challenges when it comes to the slanderous defamation of the feminine at the beginning of the journey. And so where the masculine was taken advantage of, it was like all he wanted to do was overcome this distrust. Right now I feel like he wants to overcome this distrust, and there's this emotional drive for the masculine to go into honoring his trustworthiness, which he lacked the first round. And so there is no guarantee of these unions that will benefit spirit, most definitely. So I feel right now the feminine's gift is becoming centered, trusting in your talents. The feminine is the epitome of trustfulness and genuinity. The feminine is the epitome of emotional stability and strength of spirit. And she's not been dependent on anybody. All she's trusted was herself on this journey. And so we're in this gateway of innocence. And I feel like the masculines can't sit there and say, well, I was only being told what I was supposed to do. You know, I feel a lot of the karmics ordered them around, bossed them around. And with Mars and Cancer, it is in its detriment right now. And so there's a lot of struggling against conformity taking place for the masculine, where they have to release this superiority complex. It's like the ruins of hiding behind the mask and all of this selfish energy to protect himself at the expense of the feminine is annihilating all of that karmic framework, is what it felt like. And so there's this boundless energy of spirit that knows no restraint coming in, but we can't ignore the awareness, right? Because spirit is like, this is for our growth, this is for our expansion, this is to build inevitable prosperity, family legacies moving forward. And so when the feminine is in a state of complete emotional awareness and balanced energy and in a principled, grounded position, that is when we can establish the abundance to be received. And so growth. The feminine, I feel, is in a position of power right now, an unusual position of power, because men have ruled the world forever. And so the feminine needs to accept this power. We're here to transform all of these new innovative ideas. And so as the feminine's position of power grows, it will allow this continued state of spiritual leadership to come forward. And so we are here to lead people back home to the kingdom of their inner peace. And this takes a lot of emotional strength, right, on the feminine's part. And so there's a lot being integrated when it comes to this broad acceptance of this new awareness. And I feel by that first eclipse, which will be the second new moon, there's going to be an eclipse. There's going to be an emotional openness. And spirit is pushing the masculine to take a risk to release this old conditioning of selfishness. Because we're here to be selfless. Not to our detriment, though. And so I feel like a spiritual acquisition is taking place. And the masculine is going to have to be alienated, I feel, if he is to benefit materially from the feminine, who is calling in this gift. And so the masculine is not going to find the spiritual realm through materialism and greed. Material abundance will only exist when we're in the light, is what I'm feeling. And so and the masculine doesn't want anyone to have the feminine's light. And so the masculine has become obsessed with materialism, is kind of what I'm feeling. And so the awareness of spirit is not just a concept, right, or an instinct. The concept is in the anja, and the instinct is in the spleen. And what I want to say is spirit is an emotion harnessed in our solar plexus. That is where we carry our life force energy. Abundance is a function of spirit. Abundance is how we perceive our feelings, the moods we are experiencing in the moment. And so I feel the masculine's in a state of melancholic chemistry of these emotional tidal waves washing over him. And he's moving through cycles of hope, states of bliss, and intense pain in order to understand the value of the feminine's holy grail cup. Because right now, I feel the masculine goes from one moment of feeling like the cup is half empty, and the next moment the cup is half full. And so a lot of mood swings and course correction. And so being shown everything that is not healthy for him right now. And so a lot of the masculines don't like to be alone. They don't like to feel alone. They try to make every excuse as to why they can't be alone. And there is no self-reflection if you don't go through periods of being alone. Our most creative time is when we are alone and in these states of deep melancholy. the void. When we feel like we're in the moment with our creative self, our inner self, that is when our most creative ideas come forward, is in these deep states of melancholy in the void. It is in the darkness of the void that we can shift our emotional energy, right? And we do have to feel who we are if we are to fully open up to people and be emotionally vulnerable. And so a wave of spiritual feels and emotions is what's coming through. And so I do feel a lot of spiritual awareness is arising out of the void. And I also feel like, does the cup even exist at all, right? Is what the masculine is asking. Does the feminine's cup even exist at all anymore for me? And I feel what they fear most out of life is emotional emptiness and a lack of passion, which is what they've been entrenched in and entangled in. And so a lot of energy is being dispersed when it comes to the bonding of these connections, because the intimacy that the twins share is beyond words. And so the karmic does have an ability to break down these barriers in the masculine's life in order for the twins to achieve union. And so there's potential this week for a deep and fertile connection that will result in a new life creating union. And this is ordained by Godhead Thoth, is what I feel. And so it's this preemptive strike. There's going to be a major tower to redirect the masculine towards this understanding of his purpose, to recognize what needs to be eliminated from these barriers, to put him in a position of intelligence. Deep intelligence instead of deep indecisiveness about how and when to act. The energy is fertile. And the masculine needs to overcome these self-imposed limitations, these self-imposed barriers of shyness. Calculated shyness is what I want to say, covert. A lot of these masculines are covert in these deep psychological narcissistic barriers. And I'm going to say it, yeah, they're covertly narcissistic with this calculated shyness. And this is all rooted in these subconscious psychological barriers. And so they are always restricting their interactions with others because of these covert interactions. And so this has endangered the union of the twins. This has created instability, restrictions, and I feel the masculine is restricted now with his sex drive. I feel he's not able to get it up for the karmic in order to create that separateness between the two. And so all of these deeply rooted psychological, biologically preconditioned notions have created a lot of infertility in the masculine's life. And so Saturn's coming into play, right? We've got Saturn in Pisces as well. And so Saturn doesn't particularly like being in Pisces because it's a watery, mutable sign. But with Saturn in Pisces, it allows us to be exalted. Where we can search for our identity of self, and we can be secure in dropping all of these barriers in order to define who we are through this twin flame mystical union. And so we are here to empower one another through this union and this intimate spiritual bondage that we share. And so there's this opening of transformation. And so a lot of the masculines were very promiscuous in the beginning of the journey. They either were married and lied to the feminine, or they were single and they had multiple women in the background that they were playing with, sleeping around with. They were very promiscuous. And so this drive of promiscuity is the detriment of the masculine. And so this is about the brotherhood and the sisterhood of the rose and the fellowship of mankind. And that is what the Twin Flame Collective is here to do. We have to drop all barriers to union if we are to establish universal union with the Twin Flame Collective as a whole. And so really it is about non-sexual intimacy is what I feel, right? And you know, when we are not awakened and when we go through the dropping of the lower chakras and we realize none of that was love, and so it really isn't about sexual intimacy. It is about spiritual intimacy, intellectual understanding. And so I do feel the masculine is either dealing with a femme fatale at this time or a Casanova, depending on if you are the feminine or masculine incarnate. It could be a man, woman, doesn't matter. They're either dealing with a femme fatale or a Casanova. And this is a spiritual being as well who has the power to break down all of these barriers to love. And so the sun is illuminating all of these negative connotations, I feel, this week. And Uranus is kind of bringing forward the tower, the fall, when it comes to the gigolo or the Casanova tendencies, right? Because we're not here to abuse our sexual power. And so a lot of the masculines went into this had a one night stand, and it turned into a prolonged union that was supposed to be a one night stand. That was like union for a moment in time. And so that very tricky circumstance, I feel, it was a temporary union. And it was a dangerous temporary union because it disguised a lot of truth from the masculine. And so I feel the feminine has perfected her relationship with herself, triggering enough energy conditions for the power of this eternal intimate connection to come forward in his realm of memory, of Jupiter memory. And so I do feel the gateway of mating is wide open. And so our human genetics are for sexual bonding. And if we're not actually connecting sexually to create new life, then we're breaking down our energy, we're breaking down our auric structure, right? And so when we just have sex to have sex, it breaks our aura down to nothing. And so we have to break through these barriers to true intimacy. If we're going to create offspring with another, you're going to want to do that with somebody of high vibration. You're not going to want to, do what I've done and create offspring with some low vibrational people, right? And so relationship bonding is important. And, so many of us go into these unawakened cycles when we're not consciously aware, and we create these new life forms with people that we probably shouldn't have created life forms with. But all of this is cosmically ordained to restructure our genetic strategies, I feel. And so I feel the masculine's role is to focus on selecting the best partner for reproduction of viable offspring, which is the feminine. And so I think the only real choice the masculine has at this point in time is to enter into the intimate relationship with the feminine. That is his correct bonded spiritual mate. That is his match. And the twins are here to come together to create tribal intimacy, deeply felt intimacy. And so I do feel the energy is intensifying right now. The masculine just wants to touch, taste, and smell and be with the feminine is kind of what it feels like. So I do want to talk about a message that came through last night. I connected with another feminine who does the human design charts. And so there was a lot of energies. And after we connected, Athena came through, and the owl energy. Athena came through very, very strong. And so Athena does represent knowledge. Athena was like, she was the Greek goddess of strategy, right? So she was like, during the Greek war, she was the one that everybody went to, right? For her intellectual strategies, right? And so what I want to say is knowledge is power, divine feminine. And so I feel the feminine is in a perfect position to gain greater clarity at this time. And your hard work is paying off. Everything you've learned this lifetime has brought you to this moment right now. So you've got knowledge, you've got choices, your intentions are aligned with divine will. And so your intellectual knowledge is keen and your mind is clear is what I want to say, divine feminine. You know what you have to do. Right now, everything is starting to make sense, and you don't have to question it or debate it. You need to sit there and take things in at face value, okay, is what I want to tell you, divine feminine, because everything is about to add up, because it is adding up. So have the courage to just love yourself. Honor your dreams and trust that they are within reach, because Goddess Athena is saying, I'm here, I'm right here helping you, divine feminine. So the alignment message with Athena is sometimes logic just isn't enough. And I talked about that, right? Logic is not enough to determine the truth of your situation. Sometimes we have to take a step back if things aren't adding up or making sense. And so right now, the masculine is finding himself, I feel, very distrustful because he's been ingenuine, right? And so he is being called to face the facts, to face the unknown, to stop jumping to conclusions about the feminine. Maybe all the information hasn't been downloaded yet or revealed, but it's not going to come through with force or overthinking or overanalyzing. And so Athena, I feel, is offering the masculine this task of releasing all of these false projected stories of self, to align with acceptance that you don't need to have all the facts to make an informed decision. Ask for clarity, remain open, remain receptive, and trust that the correct strategy will be shown. And Goddess Athena, I feel, is working very closely with the Divine Masculine Collective at this time. I was also asked to grab my 2 owl cards out of my Divine Feather deck. So kind of looks like the masculine and the feminine, right? And so the feminine is like the white owl. Athena's spirit animal is an owl, animal totem, whatever. The wisdom and messages of the divine are within you, divine feminine. Divine masculine, your intuition is correct. Follow your inner wisdom without fail. And then I was also asked to grab the omens card. I actually painted a picture like this. I did paint this on canvas. And so the owl does represent an omen energy. And so there's a majestic quality to an owl. And so I do feel the owl reaches realms of spirit and brings back messages from both the seen and unseen world. And so pay attention to any coincidences in your life this week. Focus on your intentions, your intuition. Focus on where you want to go and how high do you want to fly. Because I can take it there, right? And so when you see an owl, I think Spirit's saying it's time to pay attention. Pay attention to the serendipity in your life. Owls to me also represent death. I always feel my grandmother's spirit guide around me with the owl energy. We're being reminded this week to live in the flow of the energies and to trust that soon things will shift for us. So let's pull in with a few more cards. I can't believe we're almost at an hour already. And so you guys are going to really have to bear with me as I figure out what I'm going to do with this storage issue on my phone. So I think I'm going to start recording everything live moving forward and post. I actually had to delete my Facebook app off my phone. I didn't delete Facebook. I'll still utilize Facebook from the laptop. But I had to delete the app off my phone to make space. And so look at, there's the heart, the heart to the base, the dropping. And so I am loving wisdom. I release the need to self-sabotage is what we're being asked to do. Stop self-sabotaging. So we're going to get a few messages this week with the senses of the soul and see what needs to come through. It was a very long channeling, so I'm not going to pull a lot of cards this week because I got to clean my house. Clean the house today and get some charts done. I release fear so I can experience the sweetness of life. So where do you need to release fear? And get ready to digest a lot of emotions. There's the solar plexus energy on behalf of your needs. So there's a lot of emotions coming up. 3217 might ring a bell to some of you. Look at that, we got a guru here. And so it kind of looks like a man on the card. And so there is the higher energies coming in. I had a few people message me after this portal activation took place saying, what did you do, Laura? What did you do? I feel the tingles all over my third eye. I feel the tingles on my crown. And everybody was asking me, what the heck did you do, Laura? And I said, I don't know. I just do what I do. I move energy. I shift energy. And I opened up a portal. And so you're really being asked to allow this energy to flow freely because we are stepping into being these spiritual gurus. And so, but we do have to feel that fear and do it anyway, right? And yeah, so Dandelions, the song Dandelions, look it up. It's called Dandelions. You're going to want to go and have a listen to this song. And so this is where I feel the masculines are at in a willing release. in a field of dandelions, making a wish and trusting that it's time to embrace the blueprint of their life. And then we get the priest and priestess. So the ayahuasca is a drug or a root, so to speak, and this is like a spiritual cleansing process. The ayahuasca, as I don't know if I've said that right. But this is where we go into the dark, and the dark really is just an invitation to shine the light, right? Lucifer is the bringer of light, and we cannot have light without dark. The two cannot exist without the other. It is a blending of the dark and the light, and so the dark is only an invitation to shine your divine light. Ooh, and then the sage. So we get guru, sage, and high priestess. So it is only through the acceptance of this spiritual awakening experience that we can step into our freedom to serve. And so we do have to be willing to see things differently, though, is what I'm feeling there. So, like, these are very, very intense energies coming through. I don't know if I can, there's the sage, like all of these blue and purple cards. And so the sage represents all of this cosmic intelligence, and so emotional intelligence, visionary consciousness, and psychic perceptions. And so I do feel the feminine has completely bridged her intellect with her intuition, and she's living according to her spiritual mission, right? And so the feminine has taken years to process and integrate all of her life experiences and to find this meaning in these experiences. And so now is the right and perfect time, I feel, for the masculine to honor the feminine. And so that clarion call has been put through, which I feel is bringing forward some type of crisis. And so the shadow manifestation basically is saying that the masculine has been operating from a place of ego, a place of logic, theories, and statistics, perfectionism. And so this is creating frantic worry, rumination, and guilt. And so a lot of these masculines have a superiority complex when it comes to this bolstering ego, all because they've avoided facing the fear and the uncertainty of what it is that they're feeling. And so walking the walk means owning the healing journey. You can talk the talk, but that talk means nothing if your walk don't match the talk. And so it's kind of what I'm feeling. And so dropping down from the head into the heart is what the masculine needs to do. Dropping from the head to the heart and releasing that illusion of safety in that situation that he's controlled. Let's see what else needs to come through. I'm going to use the Starseed Oracle deck. There we go. Lost Lands, Soul Gifts, Soul Memories coming up. You've done this before. We've done this before. You got it. And then we get the great severing of these karmic relationships. There's that Orion polarity, the realm of duality, soul growth, conflict, Mars energy, anger, conflict. And then we get the 7 star sisters, which these are the Palladian star sisters. And so it is the divine feminine that is birthing these new creations for the collective. That will have to come out. We'll see if there's any other messages. So there's that inner earth. There's that spontaneous awakening, and that's what I experienced was the blue flame activation, spontaneous kundalini activation. And so it's integration time, guys. And so the inner earth, we are the golden children. We are the 144,000 prophesized. We are here to bring these new solutions, to harness this new earth beginning. And so there is a lot of inner child healing. And it is within the inner child innocence that we can activate and reactivate our rare spiritual gifts and these memories. And so I do feel a recent ending. I feel a recent ending, and I'm going to read into the great severing in the karmic relationships, because that is exactly what is taking place, is this great severing this week of all of these karmic relationship cycles. And so karmic relationships is on page 84. And the great severing on 72, 84, 72. Okay, so when it comes to the karmic relationships, which relationships do you find the most challenging right now? How can you see things from a different perspective? And how are you being asked to grow through this conflict? And so Constellation Orion is actually the energy of war. Orion is where the original war began in the cosmos, is what I'm feeling. And so there's a lot of polarity that we have to go through in order to eventually reach this place of unity. And so I know I was part of the Orion cosmic history. And I know I came here to play out a lot of karmic relationships from that Orion timeline. And so these polarity issues, which keep us stemmed in conflict and separation, this is what we came here to rise above into unity and growth. And so there's a lot of misunderstandings. And when we don't open up our heart and our mind, then we're in a reactive state instead of opening up our heart. And that's what we're being asked to do. And so we're all innocent children looking to be seen, understood, and heard. What about us? By Pink now is coming up. What about us? We came when you called, right? We came when you called. And so how can you soften your heart and drop your defenses right now? Because the energy is saying we need to recognize where we've cut ourselves off from love with the Mars energy. And so there's a lot of shadowy energy. This is a very shadowy card coming through. And so the energy is confrontational for sure, but we have to bring these confrontations to the surface because they've been a block for letting love in. And so with Mars moving through Cancer, this is an important reminder for the Divine Masculine to soften your heart, to forgive, and to find a way back to love. To release the bitterness of your human experience. And I know it's been difficult, Divine Masculine. But you came here for love. You came here to open your heart, to embrace your soul, and to stay in the never-ending source of love that the Divine Feminine holds for you. Let's face it, we're all deeply wounded. We've all experienced unconscious wounds, and we've all inflicted hurt on another, right? We've all hurt another. Hurt people. And so heal people, right? And so if you feel like you're in a never-ending dance that you can't escape, Divine Masculine, and maybe you weren't careful, or maybe you went down a dangerous path and now you're riddled with fear and anxiety when it comes to breaking free, I think there's two situations here that maybe you need to look at. It could be for two reasons, Divine Masculine. It could be, first, you need to acknowledge these difficult emotions that you've repressed, which keep recreating these situations filled with conflict and triggering these wounds and your fears, which only keep recreating the cycle of pain and anxiety. Or secondly, you can find your way back to love. We all have a choice. So we're at that divine wine. So when we're hurt, yes, we close our heart off to love. And I've done it. I'm guilty of closing my heart off to love after being hurt. Close off our heart to the world. We can't let these painful experiences reconfirm a state of agony and separation in our earthly life. We came here to soften and find our way back to love, whether we find our way back to one another or not. And so when we allow fear and anxiety to wash over us, we can become paralyzed in paranoia. And when we go in these paralyzed states of paranoia, it is normal for us to want to hermit and hide away from the world. But the masculine, it's time for the masculine to come out of that cave, that hermit cave, and to soften his heart anyway, no matter how much he is afraid. Because there were innocent children that got spun around in this separation of the journey. And I do feel now the masculine is being asked to make amends for those that he has hurt. So let's pull some tarot, because I'm well over an hour now. And then we're gonna close it off with some twin flame messages. So what else do we need to do? Well, there, we got it. We got an opportunity this week, that's Libra full moon, to receive the good that comes. Like the good that you've put out there, feminine, I feel, be ready to receive. There's gonna be an unexpected reward or abundance, unexpected influx of abundance, as the masculine pays off this karmic debt. And we have manifested this wealth to share with less fortunate, right? This is not just for our own selfish needs, Divine Feminine. And so there's a lot of memories. The rainbow comes after the storm. We've got the 6 of Cups in the rainbow and the 4 of Cups on the ground. And so for me, I've been in separation for 4 years. It might be 4 years for you. And so for me, it's like We go through the 7 years of trials and tribulations, which for me began back in 2016 when my grandmother passed away. So I'm coming up on the 7-year completion of the 7 years of trials and tribulations for me. And so during the separation, we have to go into these states of depression, the void, facing our past regrets. We go through a period of soul suppression and depression as we allow the memories to wash over us, the memories, right? And so I do feel a happily ever after all of this deep-seated emotional purging and transformation, a loving relationship, a successful partnership, and bottom of the deck we've got, there's the masculine's been sitting in this energy of feeling foolish. He's got a heavy weight he needs to get off of his shoulders. Maybe he needs to release from an addiction or a dramatic situation. I just feel there's that straw that broke the camel's back, and he's turned his back from the truth. There's a need for truth in order to end these addictive cycles. There's a new start here, but I feel there's fear of, that the masculine needs to push aside, and the fear is facing the betrayal, having to look the feminine in the eye, and there's that hermit. And so I do feel that's where the masculine's at, is shining light on the darkness. We are here to be these spiritual mentors, but not until we finish and complete this period of self-discovery. Oh, look at it, I just noticed this card on the deck. So it does say action. Masculine, follow your intuition before it makes sense, or you're going to get thrown off the cliff. It's a hard karmic reset. So I'll get some twin flame oracle messages, and then I will get some messages from the counterpart as well to the feminine. So there's the program beliefs that just flipped right out. Passion came out in reversed. Okay, passion came out in reversed. So I do feel the masculine needs to spend some time mastering his gifts. And this is for you too, feminine. It's time to activate that soul song and to release these limiting underlying blocks. There is a fated meeting imminent. We're drawing closer. We're in this period of receiving all of these light code activations, galactic downloads as we go through this awakening, and the masculine becomes conscious of his infinite light body. So a week of soul lessons and finding the silver lining in this twin flame experience. So we're going to get a few messages from the counterpart to the feminine. I know many of us have not had any communication in a very long time. Well, me, it's been years. I've not even really looked. I don't go looking. I don't go chasing. Although a picture of him did come up in my Facebook memories the other day. But other than that, I don't even know what this man looks like anymore. And so I don't know what you see in me. So they're questioning their self-worth. I miss you so much that it physically hurts. I do believe that. This love feels forbidden, like the forbidden fruit, right? And let's face it, Divine Feminine, you scare the shit out of your counterpart, which in turn makes them not trust their feelings. And so what I do want to say is the masculine knows that his life was forever changed the day that he met you. And I do think he's wishing for a redo, and he's working on healing his heart. He's been lying to everybody about how much he's been suffering, and he does want a family with you. So it was the right person. It was the right person, but it was the wrong time. And so I do feel, don't lose faith. The masculine isn't ready to face you right now because his fears are kind of taking over. But I think he spent many nights crying over you like you did over him. And so pay attention to your dreams, because I think he dreams of you often, and you're likely meeting in the astral realms together. So pay attention to the signs and the syncs, guys, because we are experiencing this alchemy of hearts this week, and that's what I got. So I hope this helped. I hope this resonated. If you would like to book a personal or a soulmate reading with me, I encourage you to check out the description box below. I'm going to keep the special on. As long as the bookings keep coming, I'll keep the special on, because I feel we're in a very pivotal moment for this ascension mission, and I do feel booking in will be essential to accelerate you on the next leg of your journey. I hope you all have a good week ahead, and I look forward to seeing you all again next time. Thank you.